So now the next step, now that we're comfortable with this polygon and we're comfortable with this resolution, and we can navigate and use the clay brushes, just to start to refine surfaces. So I'm pressing Alt and just cutting away. And let's start to get into more specific details. I'm going to cut below the lower lip. I'm going to cut right there a little bit. And I'm going to add a little bit more chin. And then I might pull this out. And at this point, I'm cutting with this clay buildup brush. There must be another easier way to make this happen. There's my temporal line. Things are starting to get a little bit on the messy side. I can manage it, but it's a lot to manage. I'm looking for an easier way to handle this form, especially when we get into these lips. So the next thing you need to learn is how to smooth things out. And that's just the shift brush, the shift key. I press shift on my keyboard and it automatically goes to the smooth brush. See how it goes back? Smooth, clay. And you can hear my keyboard. Smooth, clay. This is one of our most important brushes. Press shift, start to smooth this out. Now, I'm going to smooth this out so I can show you what it's all about. Then I'm going to actually undo all that smoothing. So all I do is press shift and brush along the surface. You have to keep shift pressed. I'm only going to use this on occasion, because for me, I like to keep it very structural like this, like I'm ripping into clay. And I want you to get comfortable with that, because you are ripping into digital clay. If you're focused on keeping it smooth at this stage, and your whole thing is smooth, I guarantee you, it's not going to work out for you. It's going to become way just muddled form at a certain point, and you're not going to be happy. So we want to keep it structured, so we know, all right, this is the structure I know, this is the structure I don't know. The next thing I want to do is the nose. So I'm going to select the move brush. Yeah, that's good. The move brush also has this cool feature. If you press Alt, it pushes in along what they call the normal of the surface. So it'll give you a nice deep eye socket. And then I can adjust the side view. And start to work towards a really clear orbit of the eye, cheek, masseter muscle, temporal line, and good strong profile. Now, if you're unsure about measurements of the face, let me just introduce a couple of them. We know the eye is at the halfway point. That's the first one that you need to be aware of. And then measurements from there kind of change. So I'm going to do these in a different color. Some people will say that the nose, this guy right here, the nose is from the brow to the bottom of the chin is halfway. Some people will say that you take the dimension of the orbit of the eye. It's this red line. I'm going to make it a little thicker. You take half of that. Okay, I've done this. This is in my facial anatomy. And then you duplicate that down, and then that's the bottom. There are many different ways to get this sorted out. A lot to explore. Use which one works for you. The orbit of the eye means that you need to know the size. You have to have a sense of the orbit of the eye. You have to have that kind of figured out. The brow means that you kind of got to know where that brow is. You can't have it too high up or too low, and you're going to have to work with it from there. But the one most important thing that will make a big difference in your understanding of the face is if you understand that the bottom of the nose and the cheek, bottom of the cheek, are the same. That's the one that'll make a difference. Now, so no matter what the orbit of your eye is doing, if you remember, let's get that, ta-da. If you remember that wherever your cheek is, wherever the bottom of that cheek is, that's going to line up with the bottom of your nose. That'll really help you because you're going to naturally start to figure out where that cheek is and what that structure is. You're going to spend a lot of time there. If you get that nose lined up with it, then it's going to solve that natural tendency to drop the nose. And it'll make a big difference in your life. So really messy, really crazy. The orbit of the eye here, not the orbit of the eye, the muzzle of the mouth. Let's go into my clay buildup. Is not clean. So I'm going to just clean that up a little bit. I'm going to give that a little bit of a masseter muscle. Carve out a little bit underneath. And then we're going to start talking about ear, sorry. So the nose is pretty much established. I'm going to make it thinner and try to make the nose thinner than you anticipate. And all I'm doing is using the clay buildup. You don't have to do a lot. Separate the glabella. So I have a nice ridge. And you should definitely be looking at the face from this view a lot. Glabella, superciliary arch, straight across, muzzle of the mouth, boom, boom. See how that nose comes down? Spend some time with these structures. Get comfortable with them. Look at yourself from below. Look at other people from below. Really get a handle on this. And press Alt a lot with that clay brush. Look at this from the side. Got to do some adjustments. I'm going to add some for the superciliary arch. So he has a bit more of a brow. I'm going to push that back a little bit, the supraorbital margin. Let's switch over to the move brush. I know I said we're going to do ears, but let's just get this view. Make sure you've got symmetry on. If you ever lose symmetry, just go to Transform, Activate Symmetry, and make sure it has these settings. Transform, Activate, and X. Because you can accidentally press X on the keyboard and it goes away. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So we have a basic setup. We've got a very important structural base. I'm going to outline here right now. We have the brow, which is a tiered process, a tiered line, basically. Da, 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 da. This is coming down to the zygomatic, which then comes out and helps form the front part of the face. The nose is basically a wedge that's placed there. And then we have this little mound. for the mouth. So that's our basic setup. It's coming up. Temporal line, temporal line. Everything now starts to become more of a ball in that upper portion. There we go. But we still need to do more. We need that ear. So the next thing I'm going to do is show you how to make that ear.